Hey, welcome back to episode 110 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy. You know Lurking Roper? I hardly know her.
Ah, I like that. Lurking Roper. Hardly noper.
Nope. I don't know.
You don't know
her.
her? But you don't know her either, though.
Either
Neither nor.
Either nor has been confirmed.
And I'm your other host, Mike Coyle. And did you hear about the Magic player who was addicted to fishing?
No.
With just 3 mana, he was able to be freed from the reel.
Oh, that is a good one.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the show where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
So we have a few announcements this week. One interesting one is a card is banned in Best of One. So the Book of Exalted Deeds is going to be banned in the standard 2022 format. So the standard 2022 traditional format prepares players for standard rotation. So there will be 2 Best of One queues played and ranked that run from July 8th to September 9th. That really allow you to play with cards from the Arena base set, Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, Strixhaven, and Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. So it's not all of standard, it's an Arena-only format, but turns out you can turn Faceless Haven, a land, into a creature, and then you can activate the Book of Exalted Deeds to put a counter on it because it's a changeling, so it has all creature types, so it's an angel. And the Book of Exalted Deeds lets you put a counter on it, an enlightened counter on an angel you control, and it gains you cannot lose the game and your opponents can't win the game, activate at sorcery speed. So you put it on your creature that will at end of turn no longer be a creature, and then you can't lose and your opponent can't win. And so you can't even deck yourselves.
Nope. That's what, like, I know MTG Goldfish actually did a deck like this and a video like this already. And he said, like, well, we can try to swing to win, but really we don't have to. We can just wait 45 turns. And when we draw out our deck, we don't lose. And when our opponent draws out their deck, they do lose. Yeah.
So it's not fun. It's not a great play experience. So for this, it's going to not be legal. The announcement does say, though, that it should be noted that this ban does not mean the Book of Exalted Deeds will be banned in standard after format rotation with the release of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So this is just a limited time thing. Very interesting, though. We don't get to see ban before release cards often. So we had Lutri from Ikoria. I believe Memory Jar from many, many years ago was another card that was banned before it came out. And I feel like there's another that I'm missing. So.
But this is only banned in Best of One, which is nice.
Best of One for this weird format too.
Yeah. So, enjoy all the other formats with your Book of Exalted Deeds.
Yes.
So another announcement, there were some Oracle text changes with the release of Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realm. There are 2 creature types that were added, and so they went back and they updated 22 older creatures with the creature types Ranger and Bard. So there's only 3 creatures that got Bard. That's Elvish Bard, Jiraga Bard, and Yisan the Wandering Bard. And then let me do some math. 22 minus 3, 19 creatures got the Ranger creature update. If you would like all of those, there is a list of them on the Wizards of the Coast website. There's also a couple individual card updates for some wording to fix. We already know about the Deleno Wilde Mage text fix. So Deleno Wilde Mage is a 4-mana 3/2 elf shaman. When you attack, you roll a d20. And then on a roll from 1 to 14, you make a copy of another creature you control attacking, and on a 15 to 20, you get to roll again. So currently the card just says roll again. That card has now been changed to say you may roll again. This allows you to get out of quote unquote infinite loops with your pixie that gives you advantage on your d20 rolls. Mantle of the Ancients is an enchantment aura in the Commander Precon and the Enchantments and Equipment Commander Precon. A little bit of wording changes there because it says when it enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura and or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to enchanted creature. There was a little bit of confusion on the returning of auras and equipments back from the graveyard to the battlefield. If the aura cannot be equipped to that creature, the aura would go back to the state that it was in, which is back in the graveyard. But for equipment, it's a little bit different because equipment can exist on the battlefield without being attached to a creature. So they had to update it to say that you can only bring back auras and equipments that can be attached to this enchanted creature with Mantle of the Ancients.
Okay.
And then the last one is Book of Vile Darkness. Book of Vile Darkness is one of the 3 pieces you can use to make your Vecna token. The way that it was particularly worded said that Vecna gets all of the triggered abilities of the parts of the Book of Vile Darkness, the Hand of Vecna, and the Eye of Vecna. It gets those after Vecna enters the battlefield, and now those tokens, or that token, is going to have those abilities as it enters the battlefield. So it'll already have them. So if there's enter the battlefield triggers or anything for you to take advantage of, it's going to be able to do those. Yeah,
very, very cool. I like these. I like seeing new the Ranger and Bard creature type. I just like new creature types in general.
For sure.
Yeah, just add them in. And then we also have a couple of patron announcements here. So we mentioned it last week. If you did not hear on last week's episode, we have amended some of our tiers. We have added some additional tokens. We are going to have a proxy Guardian Project card that we can send out for one of our tiers. We are going to be upgrading our podcast tokens to actually be full dry erase. They are going to be a full plastic material. And then we adjusted the price of some of the tiers. So we're really just giving people more swag. And then for those of you that currently are at a tier where you can join us on the show, you will not be losing that. We just had to make some changes to the way that the structure was. So we have those noted. So we've likely reached out to all of you actually at this point to start scheduling your episode on the show. But we did want to say welcome to Preston Pelosi. Thank you so much for becoming a patron this past week. We're really excited to have you, and the project is, it's still moving. It's a long project.
Yeah,
we're happy to have you. We could use some help.
We need your help, but you're gonna have to work some weekend overtime for us.
Weekend overtime.
You're gonna get paid more.
Okay, so you get paid more, but the last person was due the next day. Yeah. I felt theirs was worse situation.
It's true.
The next person's gonna have an easy. It's gonna be can you just proof?
And then the person after that is going to be all you got to do is sign your name on the top. You can just have the same letter grade that we get. Don't worry about it.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the project. And if you want to support us, you can head to patreon.com/GuardianProjectPod.
And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever platform you're enjoying the podcast on now, if you could rate, subscribe, follow, or if you're on YouTube, definitely leave a comment. We love interacting with people in the comments.
Yes, you can find us online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod and our gameplay videos at youtube.com/theguardianproject. Feel free to email us, guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. Coyle, what are we talking about this week?
So I know we're a little bit over halfway through the year, but we had a couple set releases and stuff going on, which kind of put a little bit of a kink in our schedule here. But today we're gonna halfway through the year talk about our commander tracking. So Andy and I have been tracking our commander games throughout the year of 2021. And we're gonna look at some of the statistics and do some breakdowns and figure out win percentages and different commanders and a whole bunch of cool stats. So definitely going to be a fun episode.
It is time to crunch the numbers. Okay, so we have completed a full 6 months worth of commander tracking. So we are tracking decks we played, decks our opponents played. We aren't tracking all the same stats. So I'm tracking, first, second, third, fourth. I'm tracking who wins, and then second, third, fourth place decks, the dates. So we have this big spreadsheet that we're both tracking. Well, I guess they're separate, but it's still just a big spreadsheet. At this point, it's just a really big spreadsheet. So we're going to break it down, talk about what we've seen, what we've played, how we're doing, and then just discuss, what we think and if anything needs to change with how we're playing the game. So I guess let's start out with how many games we played so far this year, And this was counting through the day of recording, not just the first, like through June.
Right.
So as of right now, I have played 183 games.
I've played 110, so you're 73 ahead, but 110 games for episode 110. So I feel pretty special about that.
It was planned this way.
It's totally.
Exactly. You were like, I gotta stop.
Can't play anymore.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
People have been asking me to be on their streams, and I go, no, I can't do it.
I can't be on your stream because I need to have this great episode. Okay, so still 110, 183. As in retrospect, it's not that far.
You're
off,
well on your
fair.
way to 365 for the
To
year.
be fair, I am pretty close.
I mean, like almost exactly.
Yeah. So we are in. It's what, June? Yeah. Or no, it's the beginning of August. Or oh my gosh,
It's mid-July.
It's mid-July. Beginning of June, end of August.
Average it out. We're doing statistics. Average it out.
Mid-July. We're recording this middle of July, so I guess I could make it, but I'm absolutely not putting that pressure on myself. However, I will say, all of my CDH friends who have had me on their streams, you've really helped me get there with like 6 games at a night sometimes. Okay, overall win percentage that we're at currently.
Yeah. What do you think that I'm at? Because I know I've told you about it before.
And I've told you about mine. So I will guess, and then I'm going to tell you whether or not I think it's good. I think, and by good, I mean too high, too low.
Okay,
right?
sure.
Because I think we know which one of us is going to have one that's too high.
Yeah.
I think you're at 19%.
Okay. Very close. I'm at 20.
You're at 20%.
20% on the nose.
That's great. 1 in every 5 games.
That's right. And I imagine you are, because knowing your numbers before.
Yeah, they were rough. Last year was a little higher than I wanted it to be. And I've played some games. I played some CDH games where going in, I was trying to show that I knew how to play this game and I was trying to win. Okay, what do you think I'm at?
Like 38%.
No, not that high, but it's still too high. I'm at 34.
Okay.
So, but it just hit 34. It was 33 and I was like, if I could stay at like 30, I'd be okay. But I feel like this is too high, but taking a look at it, I've realized that some of my commander decks specifically are like the culprit. And it's like, okay, you are just winning too often. I have a deck, and I won't go into it now, but I have a deck that like it's only lost once and I've played it like 9 times.
Sure.
And I've been dialing it back on the Bears.
Dial it back on the Bears.
It's not a bear deck.
That's
I've been dialing it back because it needed to. I was like, this is just, it's too consistent. Yeah. So 34% is too high. I think we've determined we would like it to be 25%.
Yes. Now, to be fair, this 20% that I have here is taking into account all of my games, and I know I do have some 4-player and 3-player games in both of my statistics.
I also have 4-player and 3-player pods. No 2-player. I had a few last year with just one-on-one because we were like waiting for friends to show up for game night.
Right.
But I know that I also have some Commander Legend drafts logged.
Oh, you logged those? Okay. I did not log mine.
So I logged the decks I played and who else ever played and their themes and who won.
Okay.
So those are also in here. But they after the commander name, I did put in parentheses like Commander Legends Draft.
Okay. Because
you're like, oh, that's an off the wall commander or off the wall commander.
Right.
It's because they didn't actually build that. That's what they built for Commander Legends Draft.
And beating my Sakashima and Kodama decks, it seems a lot easier when there's parenthesis drafted in Commander Legends parenthesis.
Yeah, you don't feel so bad that you got crushed.
Destroyed. Absolutely destroyed.
So 34% is too high. 20%, I'm still happy. I'd be happy between like 20 and 27.
So I would say, yeah,
I think that's what I want.
Yeah, like you said, 25% is our perfect. I definitely am going to say this 20% is way too low, only because I'm staring down at my number at my 4-player percentage versus my 3-player percentage. My 4-player pod percentage is worse than my overall win percentage, which means I do really well in 3-player pods.
Okay, all right. Well, we will get to that.
Yes, we will.
So the next item here is the top 10 commanders that we played. So these are our personal decks, how many times we played them, and then those commanders' win percentages. So I'll start with my first commander, which I'd like you to guess. This is the one. So Coyle, you did guess, and you're going to stick with the one.
I'm going to stick with the guess.
When we were preparing the show, Coyle guessed.
Yeah. I have a secondary guess if you'll allow me.
Okay, go.
But my primary guess, absolutely the only one that counts was Gerard Golgari Lichlord.
And it is not.
And so my secondary guess, taken from the fact that you were just talking about your CEDH friends that helped you out, I'm going to guess Malcolm and Vile Smasher.
Yeah, so Malcolm and Vile Smasher. So Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator and Vial Smasher the Fierce, I played 17 times so far this year. I won 9 times and I lost 8 times.
Okay.
53%.
It's really good.
It's really good. I mean, it's very strong.
But that's CEDH, so it's fine if your win percentage is like that.
We all knew going in, it was like, try to do it. Madanon, really great friend of the show, been on their stream. They would like me to resolve an Adnaz. And I still haven't resolved an Adnaz in 17 games.
Okay.
But I've gotten Glinthorn and Malcolm combo so many times. So one day I will cast an Adnaz.
It just won't be today. It just not today.
Not today. Okay. Who is your... Okay,
yeah,
so
who's my number one?
If I had to guess your number one, you've been playing partners a lot. So I'm assuming it's a partner deck, and I'm thinking it's your Curses deck with Karuga as a companion. I don't know.
Definitely. That's my 1,
no.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my 8th.
Maybe it just feels real memorable because it does like really crazy things when you play it. What is your number one deck?
So I do spread my games out a lot here, and that's probably a big reason why. So I have a lot that are close to each other, but my number one most played deck is Morophon the Boundless.
Really?
I've played 10 games of Morophon this year.
You know what's funny? My highest... the number of games I played with you this year is lower than it was last year because we haven't been streaming every single week. So I played less games with you. So I just haven't seen it, but you've been on streams with other people and other games. So I'm sure you've been playing that.
For sure. My Morophon Changeling list is definitely a go-to where it's just a casual group where I'm just going to sit down and swing creatures. I want you to guess how many wins I've gotten with my Morophon the Boundless deck this year.
And you've played it how many times?
10 times.
3.
I have won 0 times.
0?
With Morophon the Boundless.
100% loss rate.
I am 0-10.
But you know what? It's fun whenever we see it. And the few times I have, it's Morophon, but always plays Rin and Siri. That's actually what the deck is.
It's Morophon Rin and Siri for sure.
Yeah.
But you can say, you can kiss Morophon Changelings goodbye, though. It is going away.
Oh.
For Morophon humans.
Oh, yeah. I knew that too.
So
rounding out the rest of my list here, I have Niambi Esteemed Speaker. I played that 15 times. Finn the Fang Bearer, which I did not expect, 10 times. Rionia Fire Dancer, Selvala Explorer Returned, both at 9 times. Gerard, 8 times. Lysolda, Gore Muldrak, Adrix and Ev, Sigarda Heron's Grace, 7 times each.
Okay.
So they're all, I mean, the tops are pretty high.
Oh, for sure. I guess, yeah, because my top is 10.
Sure.
And you have a bunch that are at like 9 and stuff, but I have Sakashima and Ikra Shidiki as my second most played. So partners deck, like you said, at 9. Vega the Watcher at 8. Svella at 8. Livio and Ludovic at 8. Nadir and Sidar Kondo at 8. And then Arden and Kodama at 7. Kaidel and Arden at 7. Scorpion God at 5 games.
Scorpion God made it up to 5?
Yeah, actually the same amount as Aluna and Osgir the Reconstructor, both at 5 games too. And then just have a couple like Nadir, Samut, Rogrock, and Jessica Thrice Reborn. I played 3 games with that this year. Well, I have a lot of 3 games. And then a ton of just 1 gamers too.
Okay. So the deck I mentioned that I was talking about earlier, Rionia, the Fire Dancer, is the deck that I've played it 9 times and I've won 8 times.
Ooh.
So I needed to, so I was playing some fast mana because I was worried, well, I got to get Rionia out and it has to stick and they're going to remove it. It's a lightning rod for sure. And you got to get also a creature out that matters. Right. And so I had thrown in my Mana Vault, and I had a Grim Monolith.
Sure.
And so I was like, well, I'll just put it in here. And it just turns out it's just too good to get Rionia out on like 3.
Right. Well, yeah, it's strong.
Yeah. So I pulled those, and now I would like to play the deck throughout the year more to see what actually happens. And then I can track the win percentage for the first half versus the second half and see where I would like to be.
Yeah, because looking at the overall win percentage doesn't make sense anymore after a hefty change.
Right, and that's my highest win percentage for any deck.
Oh, for any, that's
for all.
Well, I guess
decks.
I guess that makes sense. 1 loss, 8 wins, a pretty high win percentage.
Yeah.
My highest win percentage. So even in all of those like one-offs, I don't have any wins in my one-off games.
Okay.
So my highest win percentage is actually my Rogue Rock and Jessica deck at 2 wins, 1 loss with a 66.66% win percentage.
Yeah, small sample certainly does skew it,
Yes.
but
So
numbers are numbers.
It is. So if I go to one of the larger number or one of the more significant,
Yeah,
number
we
of
did
games,
say 3+ games
Right.
to kind of make it into this list because I think I have 30 decks listed or something like. I have to take a look. It's actually something that we'll get to.
that is something.
But a lot of them are just a single play.
Fair enough.
Some of them are single plays.
So I have my Livia Oathsworn Sentinel and Ludovic Necro Alchemist deck has 4 wins on its 8 games. So a 50% win rate is pretty good.
See, I liked where I was with Gerard last year because it was a 50% win rate. This year, Gerard is I've played 8 games and I have 1-0.
Right.
So
yeah.
People figured out. So we were talking with our patrons. If you're in Discord and you saw some of our chatting as we were preparing for this episode, I had said something about Gerard, and we had some people chime in. They go, "We just figured out how to beat it now." I was like, "That's true. I mean, once you've played it a few times, either remove Gerard or remove this thing before I have the 3 available mana to do something to fling it, right?"
For sure.
So I certainly think that now that I tracked last year's stats for the 366 games and I'm tracking this, I see significant differences in my win percentages with decks that people that play with me all the time have played.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So win percentages that are different based on being in a pod of 4 people versus a pod of 3 people. You said your numbers are different.
Way different.
Okay, so pod of 4, I have played 179 games with 4 people. I won 62 of those for 35%.
Okay.
And then with 3 people, I've played 4 games and I won 2 of those. So I have 50% win rate in a pot of 3.
So your pot of 3 is also bringing your numbers up a little bit because it's only 4 games.
Just a teeny little bit. Yes. So I win more 3, but the number's so small.
I know.
That's
so the perfect win percentage in a 3-player pot is 33.33% chance, right?
And I'm just over that.
Right.
But if I had played like 5 more games, maybe it would have been less. I distinctly remember a 3-person pod where I played Finn the Fangbearer, and one of my opponents didn't draw lands, so they got infected out very fast. And then a 1v1 game with Finn is
it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it feels one-sided.
Yeah.
And not evenly fair. So
maybe they're playing Edgar Markov, also banned in 1v1. Actually, I don't know if Finn's banned in 1v1. I doubt it, actually. I doubt Finn's banned in 1v1.
I don't know.
It's not an official ban list anyway. But anyway, I digress. I was able to play 9 3-player games and 101 4-player games. My I have 4 wins in my 9 3-player games.
Okay.
44.44% win percentage. And in my 4-player games, I have 18 wins, which is only 17.82%. So 17.82% win percentage in 4-player pods, I don't think is high enough. I think I need to. But when I start looking at individual decks and individual deck performances and percentages, I think that speaks a lot more volume than overall percentage. And I think it's really important that we are doing the breakdown for individual commanders to determine that, because I can definitely say, oh yeah, 18% overall win con, but I have a 50% win percentage deck. So
this is an 18% win con.
Or sorry, 18% win percentage in a 4-player pod, but then a deck that wins 50% of the time. There obviously has to be a balance somewhere in between.
But also 18% of the time the win con wins 100% of the time.
That's
the saying, right?
The win con is, what if your win con is your opponent reducing themselves down to 0? I guess
it still works.
It still works. Sorry, you still win that way, I suppose.
Right. So the next thing we're going to talk about here is our actual commanders that we played with the highest win percentage. So this, again, we said was 3+ games. And I did include a couple that I have a 100% win rate with because I only played them once.
Sure.
So, but those are decks that I don't have together anymore. But after Rionia, I have Nikia of the Old Ways, Lazav the Multifarious, and Lannis Cryptozoologist. So Nikia I've played 4 times, Lazav I've played 6, and Lannis I've played 3. But they're all between 60 and 70 because I've played so few games.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, I'm looking at all my single games here, and I have Yarek, Rolesk, Firesong and Sunspeaker, Bear's Companion, Arixmathes, and Sakashima plus Tormod. They all played 1 game. They all lost. I have no 100% win rates here at all.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
But my highest win rate, I did already talk about that being my Rogue Rock and Jessica at 66.67%. But really the better one being my Livio and Ludovic at 50%. But I have a couple other ones that are up there in like the 40 percentages.
Yeah.
And that is my Arden and Kodama deck is at 42.86 with 3 wins out of 7 games. And then my Illuna deck has won 2 games out of the 5 games that's played with a 40% win percentage. So it does tend to, when I'm looking at this, my decks that are more focused on combos and combo wins are definitely winning at a much higher percentage.
Yeah, I agree. So taking a look here, I also have Lysolda, the Blood Witch, which is just a World Gorger Dragon combo deck at 57%. I have, and then I have 3 in a row, Dina Soul Steeper, Omnath, Locus of Rage, and the Locust God, where I've played 6 games each, and it's 50% because I've won half and I've I guess won 3, lost 3. Mm-hmm. That's half.
That's
how 50%. Math works. So some of these commanders are winning, I would say, less games than they won last year. So I haven't played the Locust God as much, but last year I had it with a bunch of fast mana in it,
right?
Because I was playing it at League in the beginning of the year, and this year I have not been doing that. And I think last year, I'd have to go back and look at the spreadsheet, but I believe it was in like the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
Last year, and I believe the Locust God was my highest win percentage. So now I'm at 50, and I expect it to go down. I would hope, because I that was the intention, was to make it so it wasn't as consistent and as fast.
For sure. And I don't think I have any of the decks that were a problem like that for me last year anymore, because I had my Kess deck at one point, I had my Nicol Bolas deck at one point, and those just aren't together anymore. I know you don't love playing against my CEDH deck because you have something against Blood Moon. I don't know.
It's like, I think both times you got a Blood Moon, or you were able to remove the only thing that gave me blue. And I was like, well, I can't play my... Coyle's like, well, just play your commander. And I was like, I need blue to play Malcolm. Oh, yep. And then also we had a card that wouldn't allow me to it was you can't activate the abilities of artifacts.
That was not me.
It wasn't you, but it was in the game.
It was in the game.
And after I got rid of one thing, I was like, and now I have 6 treasures I can't use.
That's correct.
I need to use these treasures.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I mean, I like playing unique decks and stuff, and so it was fun to build mono red for CEDH. But yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. So the next item here is commanders we play with the lowest win percentages, which is, but we said again, qualifier, we needed to play at least 3 games with it to kind of count it. So my lowest win rate for a commander in this category is Selvala Explorer Returned. I've played it 9 times and I won once.
Okay.
So 11% win rate.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have exactly 5 commanders here with a perfect score of 0 wins. We already talked about Morophon the Boundless is 0-10. Okay. I have my Sfella Ice Shaper deck, which is 0-8. I have my Samut Voice of Dissent, which is people yelling and screaming tribal, which is 0-4. That one's not that surprising. Zurgo Helm Smasher, which is my Star Wars General Grievous theme deck, is 0-3. Also not surprising, but does have a pretty high kill-death assist ratio. It kills people very often. And then Tetsuko Umezawa is 0-3 for the year as well, which that one is really tough to win with, but it's a lot of fun to play with.
Okay, so I have Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. May he rest in peace. Because that deck is no longer together. 6-1. I had Togo, Goblin Weaponsmith, and Arden Intrepid Archaeologist. Rest in peace. 5-1. And then I had Noyandar. No, we're still living. Noyandar Royal Shaper is 5-1. So I felt good about that. And then I will say, I did want to mention the one. It's part of the lowest 10. It's a 33% win rate. So it's still too high in my opinion. Okay. But based on the decks that I've been playing and knowing the win rate overall, it's fitting in this side of the category. But my Niambia Steam Speaker deck, I've played 15 times. So I mentioned it was in the top commanders I played for the whole year. I have won 10 times and I've lost 5 times.
Oh, that's a pretty high win percentage.
Yeah.
66%.
I'm sorry, I've won 5 times and I've lost 10 times.
33%.
33%.
Still, good percentage, but not as ridiculously high as 66%.
Yeah, no. So no, absolutely not. No. So I've won 5 times. I've lost 10 times. Thank you to all of our patron, everyone in the Discord, for letting me play Niambi. It's a deck that I will say I don't have fast mana in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow. I'm just reanimating creatures that are just really good.
Okay.
They just do really good things. One of our patrons had messaged in there when I was talking about Niambi. They were logging their own decks and going back and looking at their notes, and they go, "Oh, I found the game I really remember." Their note said, "I had to kill Jin Gataxias twice because I played Jin Gataxias and then Sakashima 1,000 Faces with Jin Gataxias out, so I had 2 of them." They were like, "I had removal for one. Now we need to find removal for the other."
Did you make the copy of Jin like tonic so that you could have Jin and tonic?
I didn't, because I don't like Jin or tonic.
No one likes Jin Gataxias either.
That's
Andy.
true. No, but I will say that game started to just spiral out of control because you would draw 14 at the end of your turn.
Yeah.
And discard them, and then I would reanimate the best of the 14.
Oh,
true. Just because it's just a reanimator deck.
Because Jin Gataxias doesn't give you no maximum hand size or anything.
It doesn't,
right.
And I wasn't upset about it either.
It
I was like,
great.
I guess I just discard the rest.
Yeah.
So this is probably I was telling you the other day, Niambi is like, it's taken off as one of my favorite blue-white decks. Noindar is still there. But Niambi, it's like, that's where it's at this year.
Oh yeah,
that's where it's at.
That's pretty hot. I mean, I have one. I'm very happy with 2 of my win percentages here for some of my new partner decks. I really like my Nadier and Cedar Condo having 3 wins out of 8 games, 37.5%. It might sound like high, but if I had lost one more game, that'd be at the perfect 25%. So that particular deck, Abzan Tokens, has been really, really fun to play. Really, I mean, I enjoy it. Other people tell me that they enjoy it, so hopefully they aren't lying to me. But I like my Sakashima and Ikra Shidiki. That's only at a 22.2% win percentage.
That's a great win percentage, though.
And then, of course, who would I be if I didn't toot my own mono black horn of Nadier, Agent of Dustnell, and Miara, Thorn of the Glade, mono black partners having 1 win out of 4 games for a perfect 25% win percentage.
Yeah, no, that's great. I did not expect to see all those, but you also built a lot of new decks this year.
Yeah,
I was going to be expecting some decks that I think are gone at this point. I mean, Jiru. With eyes,
Jiru has not had 1 play this year.
Not even a play, and I talk about it often.
The reason I don't play that deck is because it's board wipe.deck.
Yeah.
It board wipes every turn after turn 4. So people don't like to play against it.
Noyandar I played with Pot of 3 MTG this past week, and I said, let me play Noyandar. And so it was cool. And chat was like, can I have that list? This is great. Their chat was legit. And so I posted, but I at one point found myself apologizing for bouncing non-lands.
Right.
And with just Coastal Breach. I got to play Devastating Mastery for the alternate cost and let some, and I was just like, this game needs to end. So I can't. I gotta stop doing it. Let someone just kill you.
That's right.
And flyers, I can't really deal with that deck, so I just died to stuff in the air, I think.
Well, I guess that's true.
If I remember correctly, I don't have the notes in front of me for that one. All right, total number of unique commanders we have played this year. So I have played 39 different commanders, and this includes Commander Legends drafts and pre-con decks that I've only played 1 time.
Okay.
So 39 different decks I've played.
So I have 25 different decks that I've played, and mine would not include drafts, but would include pre-con stuff that I've played. But I think the only pre-con really I played was Oz Gear, and then I upgraded it.
So 25, and we've done Commander Legends drafts twice. So it would have been 27 if you logged
27.
them. 27?
Yep.
Okay. I like having these options. It's a lot.
It is.
39 decks is a lot.
And to be fair, I have not, like we just talked about, I haven't played all of my decks, so I have more than just these 20. Well, I don't have some of the decks I don't have some of the decks on the list anymore, and I have some decks that aren't on the list.
I have also borrowed decks of friends when we got together, and they're like, do you want to play this? Sure. So I know I've done that 2 or 3 times so far this year. So these aren't even all mine.
Right.
But I've just played 39. Thought it was an interesting stat to have.
It is pretty nice. It's cool to see the
So
uniqueness.
let's talk about some of our opponents' decks now. So top 10 commanders we played against, and we counted this again, hopefully seeing that deck at least 3 times.
Yeah.
So I have played against, it's another CEDH deck, most because we played many games in a row. A Thrasios and Tymna deck 10 times.
10 times.
I've played against that 10 times.
Okay.
What is the number one deck you've played against?
Number one deck I've played against, and I don't know how this happened because I don't remember. I maybe remember one of these games, but it makes sense for I believe still the most popular commander, Golos Tireless Pilgrim.
Oh,
at least he was the most popular 5-color commander. I thought he was the most popular commander, period, but maybe not.
It might be. So how many times did you play against Golos?
I played against Golos 7 times, 7 different occasions. I don't own a Golos deck or anything. I think Roxanne in our Patreon has a Golos deck, and that's the only one I can remember. And I've played against it once, so I've played against 6 other unique Golos decks out there somewhere.
Golos is number 1.
Yeah, so
Golos is number
kind of
1.
makes sense, I guess, that I played Golos the most number of times. But unfortunately, they don't seem to be very memorable to me.
Oh, wow. So I played against Thrasios and Tymna. And then the remainder of my list, I'm just going to read them off here. Zaxara the Exemplary. So this is in our local play group. Estrid the Mast. Marin of Clan Nil Toth. Also, some top commanders here.
For sure.
Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma. Alila, Artful Provocateur. Atraxa, Praetor's Voice, Queen Marchesa, Adelies the Cinderwind, which is a local online play group, Mr. Big Vents, and Cody Vociferous Codex has made number 10.
There you go.
Thank you, Madanan, again for allowing me to be on your streams with these cards.
We'll get that Cody number up in a weekend or two.
All of these, so Thrasios, Tymna 10, and then I have 7, 6, and 5s. These are all at least 5 times or more.
Oh wow! So majority of mine are actually at 3.
Okay.
But these next 2 you might find familiar. At 5 games, tied for 5 games, I've played against Averna the Chaos Bloom.
I played that a few times. Yeah. Those games.
I've also played against your husband played it the other 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And the other one being Gerard Golgari Lichlord. So
I feel represented on your board.
So definitely 5 and 5 games. After that, at 4 games, I have a Valky God of Lies. So played against that 4 times. And then Muldrotha, Teysa, Orvar, Gavi, Xyrus, God Eternal Ketra, Essica, Dina Soulsteeper, Finn, Gormoldrak, Vorel, Goreclaw, Yawgmoth, Greven, Niambi, Hazaret, Omnath, Locus of Mana, each Takik and Akiri Lineslinger, Osgir,
so many,
Otrimi, Queen Marchesa, Sigarda, Joda, Firja, Judge of Valor, Colligan, and Linden, Steadfast Queen. So you could probably tell that about half of those, I think, are your commanders.
Half.
Well, we've got
how many of those?
Teysa, I think, was yours.
Yeah.
Orvar, Gavi, Dina Soul Steeper, Finn the Fangbear,
Orvar
Moldrak.
Also our graphic designer.
True.
Chris
Wolf. That's true. Vorel, that could also be Patron Parker. Niambi for sure.
Yeah, so in between our lists, we saw Atraxa. So based on EDA tracks, some of these tops, right? So Golos, Atraxa, Muldrotha, Alila. Funny enough, Kaikar didn't make the top of this list. Neither did Chulain this time around, but Marin did. So yeah, at Queen Marchesa, some of these are in the top 20 of EDA tracks. So none of that surprised me, which is one of the reasons I wanted to track unique commanders I played against and the number of times this year, because it does directly correlate to what we see as being popular commanders.
For sure, absolutely.
Okay. So this is a stat that I tracked and not one that you tracked. So this is games by month and the highest number. So the most I played this year so far was in May, 42 times.
That's more than one a day.
It's more than one a day, but I do feel like I had a bunch of streams, and I feel like on like 2 or 3 of them, they were all more competitive streams. So we were trying to knock out like 4 or 5 games, and I feel like I had like 3 of those in one in 1 month. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, 42, and then my lowest month so far is that is completed month, I guess, was March with 21 games.
Yeah, so I didn't and I didn't track the dates, and I think it would be interesting to see when I played certain decks, because as you know, as we talked about, I build a lot of decks, so I can tell what time of the year I built the decks, and I have a lot from post Commander Legends and post Call Time. So the majority of my games were probably played in the March-April time frame. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a couple more items we're going to go through. The next one is the top person that we have played for the year. Let's just do our top person. So this is Andy Bentley for me.
Yeah.
44 times.
That's a lot of games.
Mr. Big Bent's 44. Following that, I guess, is just Parker's at 43, and then you're at 42 games.
There you go. I did not track how many games I played with who, so I'm going to take a guess and say my number one played is 42 games with Andy Flory.
Yeah, you got it. Cool stat. You got it. So the next one is the top 10 commanders that won pods that we were in. So I thought this was really interesting. So for me, the first two are my decks. So I have Malcolm and Vile Smash and then Rionia. But then the decks that aren't mine that have made the top wins are Adrix and Nev Twincasters when they're in a pod, Locust God when they're in a pod, Omnath Locust of Rage, Gore Muldrax, or Dina Soul Steepers. Those are they have won more than any other commander I have played, period, or played against. If it's in a pod, that's how many times it has won.
Okay. I have I have my own decks as actually 6 of the top 5. But one of them is Osgir the Reconstructor, so that one is definitely not just unique to me. So there's an Osgir out there somewhere else. But I have my Livio and Ludovac with 4 wins, Nadir Sidar with 3 wins, Arden and Kodama with 3 wins, Osgir 2 wins, Golos is the next one that I don't own, 2 wins. So Golos, of those 9 or 7 games, they only won 2 of those games. So 5 losses for the Golos player. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. Obviously, you're playing in 100% of your games, so your decks are going to be the most prevalent in your list, probably, for these wins.
I wasn't sure if your win percentage is
Moraphan's
higher.
Not on here, that's for sure.
Right, but if your win percentage is higher, which right now mine I think is too high, that's why I think I'm seeing my decks appear in the top winning decks.
Oh, I'd say mine.
Just period.
Mine appear there just because I guess of
you
the uniqueness
and other
of
people
decks.
play them too.
Well, and I don't know anyone else that's playing Livio and Ludovac. That one's only, but it's just the uniqueness of decks of I've only played against one Anya Falconwrath deck that's won. But Anya Falconwrath is played all over the place, and you can build it really strong, or you can build it kind of weak. So I don't know. For mine, maybe my sample size is too small. Maybe I have to play more games and get out there and find more commanders.
So now let's flip. And the top 10 in all of our games, the commanders that came most often in 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption here is that these commanders were probably the more powerful, right? They got targeted, or maybe they were off to a slow start and they fell into 4th place.
Yeah, they either fell or they presented the most lethal board state, I guess.
Yes,
most likely.
And this was certainly looking at. I've played against a lot of different commanders, and that's going to be next so that we can kind of qualify this. But the first 2 here are actually mine. So Niambi Esteemed Speaker and Sethron Herloon General lost in the top more than most decks consistently, other than decks that only lost one time, obviously. But I've got Yarok the Desecrated, Goreclaw, Gerard, Kess Dissident Mage, Queen Marchesa, Winota Joiner of Forces. I've played against those decks quite a few times now.
Mm-hmm.
All of these being around 4 or 3 losses that they've lost, and all those commanders. I mean, Yark's strong. Winota, very strong. Queen Marchesa, really strong. They came in last, and I'm assuming it's because they were probably doing good things and they needed to go.
That's probably true.
That's my assumption.
Yeah, I guess I have mine as Moraphan was killed
more times.
Came in last more times than any other by double the margin. So Moraphan has been 4 times, and then the next highest has been 2 times. But I see Averna there, and Feather, Galazeth, Prismari, Illuna, Gerard, Livio, and Ludovac. These are all like things that could probably are setting up for either a combo, or in Moraphan's case, I have 20 double strike 5/5
flying dragon changeling.
Yes,
things.
Exactly. And people are like, okay, Psych Rift. Okay, we have to kill you before you can rebuild your board.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Where the other ones are threatening looking decks with certain key pieces to a combo or something, and we go, you could draw that combo piece, got to take you out. You've heard that statement before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you
from
could have
you.
it.
You sent it to me.
But you could have it. You could have it next turn.
I was going to have it all. I had it all. So I have played against, so this is unique commanders, commander partner pairings, or commanders and pairings with a companion. Okay. So it can be all of the above.
Okay.
The number of different times I've seen these, I played against 280 different decks.
Interesting.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I'm surprised because I've played 70 some less games than you, and I've played 206 unique commander and commander pairings. So it's that's
much closer
than I expected, for sure.
So you may have been playing against a lot of just unique commanders where I have been playing, hey, we're going to go into the second game, and it's like, I'm not changing. And that makes sense, right? So if you play 10 games, 10 pods, right? And just one a night, you might not change, right? Whereas if you play 5 pods, 10 games, 2 in a night, they might just say, I'm going to play this again.
Yeah. Well, when I come over and we play Commander, we only end up playing like 5 or 6 games or something. Doesn't mean I'm not going to bring all 15 decks that I want to play that night.
Yeah, Coyle's backpack is packed. So 280 different, and this includes the companions. So for those of you that I haven't played, I know Coyle, you've got some. I know Mr. Big Ben's has a Umori deck. But Umori is actually the commander, not the companion. So I don't know how many. To be fair, I didn't look at how many companions I played against.
It's probably mostly Karuga, honestly.
I feel like you are making up for most of mine.
Yeah, probably. Don't worry, I'll build a new deck that'll have another companion. You can start putting Obosh on your stuff.
Yeah. All right, and the last thing we want to talk about is turn orders. So whether or not we think it matters, right? So we've tracked how many times we went first, second, third, and fourth. And I will say I have gone fourth more than any of my other games. So first, I went first 26% of the time, 48 times.
Okay. I went first 30 times, 27.27% of the time.
Oh, okay. So we're going first about the same amount. Okay. I went second 39 times, 21% of the time I went second.
And then I was 24.14% of the time going second.
Okay. Third, 40 times, 21% of the time. Didn't really change there for me. They're about the same.
9.52% of the time, so not much.
Oh, she didn't go third very often.
Apparently
Fourth, 56 times for 30% of the time I go last.
Okay. Mine says 10% of the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess I don't think my numbers are adding up, quite honestly.
I don't think they are either, Coyle.
So there must be an error somewhere.
So 20, 20, 10, and what were your numbers?
So 33, 24, 9, and 10.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
There's some
in your formula.
Slightly wrong. Not too far off, though.
Yeah, so 30% of the time I went fourth. I don't think going fourth matters.
No.
Turn order can, but it's got to be so marginal that I feel like turn order might not matter, but the amount of mana you have quicker in the game does in fact matter. Well, you can go fourth and play Soul Ring and Signet on turn one. And if you went first and you play land, you're way behind that person who just played Soul Ring Signet.
Well, that's true.
In my opinion, in many cases, they're probably going to do something bigger faster than
right. So now I looked at the win percentages of who went first to see if that mattered.
Oh, I did not look at that.
And in most cases, the person who goes first does have a higher win percentage. For the games that I play, if the fourth player goes first, so the person who would go right before me, if they were to go first, they actually had a lower win percentage as compared to other people who were playing in those same pods of winning. But for the majority, if I went first, if the next player after me went first, or the player after that went first, they had a higher win percentage than 25%. They're looking at like a 30% win percentage going first. So
wow,
with 110 games in literally only the games that I'm in, I can say that going first could definitely matter.
It could matter. Interesting. Well, that wraps up our stats episode for this week. We want to thank you all for listening. And if you're tracking your games We want to hear about how your experiences have gone. So thank you for listening. You can find me on Twitter at ATFlory.
And you can find me on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And of course, we want to give a special thanks to our editor and producer, Ryan Nichols. Thank you so much. And of course, Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design. Thank you so much. And to all of you listeners out there, we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
That was good. My win percentage, it's a little too high, but I like where most of the decks are win percentage wise. I think I need to tune down a few more things in each deck, but that's moving where I want it to be.
I'm just gonna build.
It's nice having these numbers to be able to adjust.
It's true. I'm just gonna build new decks and just not care about the stats anymore.
You're the worst. All right. That's it. That was great.